The time is 12:40, and let's join Craig Warmbold at the Dodge County Fair for community comment.
County Fair, beautiful Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, just outside Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, if you will. Greetings to those not only listening to us on almost said it wrong, on 95.3 WBEV powered by Daily Dodge, as well as the stream on Daily Dodge. In addition to the video stream on Daily Dodge, we want to welcome all of those that are in Radio Park right now. There's a smattering of people that have made their way over here, and we want to let everybody know, both here and listening at home in their car, whatever it may be, that the phone lines are going to be open. Our guest is Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. Sheriff Schmidt, thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
It's a pleasure to be out here in this beautiful weather. It's way better than sitting in a studio. Back at 95.3 WBEV. That's hard to say, but we do have a packed crowd out here listening. I'd love to see a couple more fill in the couple openings out there, but it's going to be a great show here today, Craig, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm optimistic as you are that we're going to have a good show. So again, don't be shy. If you're in the audience here at Radio Park, there is a microphone right in front of the stage. You are welcome to come up and ask us a question. Not us. Nobody wants to hear from me. Ask the sheriff a question about something in law enforcement, maybe as it relates to county ordinances, state ordinances, local municipal ordinances. You might even be able to weigh in on
the fair.
Or the fair.
Yeah.
Maybe I've got questions about how. I'll be asking you about that in just a minute. Maybe you got questions about.
That's fair.
Maybe you've got questions about things going on at the fair. We'll do our best to answer those for you. And if you are not at the fairgrounds, that phone number is 920-885-4446. That's 885-4446. And our producer back at Radio Ranch LA Bass will be able to text me and let me know that phone call is imminent and somebody's hanging on the line. So we are going to begin, Sheriff, simply enough by talking about the Dodge County Fair, the security that is provided by your personnel here, and the approach that you take to making sure everybody that comes to the Dodge County Fair is safe and has a good time.
Well, our approach is the same as we do out on the road. Presence, being visible, seeing us here. When you come into the fair, when you walk in by the grandstand, you're going to see us here. You're going to see squads. You're going to see our trailer. You're going to see our folks out there giving away free kid IDs to our to the little ones out here. You're going to see our guys walking around on the grounds, saying hi, shaking hands, and having a good time at the fair like everybody else. Presence is the very simplest form of law enforcement, and that it can prevent negative things from happening in the first place. So that's our approach here and out in the community, and just being visible. That's the most important piece of it to keep us safe.
Let's talk about those child IDs. What do we need to know?
Child IDs are something that Sergeant Erica Lemke really has been championing for a long time already. She is usually out here. She's got to work in dispatch most of the week this week, unfortunately, but she has her staff out here working hard to provide child IDs to anybody who wants one, children preferably. And what is the purpose of them? Well, it's neat for kids to have a little ID. It's like a driver's license. Has their information on it, the critical information on it that we might need should at some point they go missing. Particularly out at the fair. I can tell you every year we have a couple times where we have kids who go missing, and it's reported, and then we have to gather, well, what do they look like? Do you have a photo? Do you have their address? Do you have how tall they are? How much they weigh? And that's time consuming when we could be out looking, where if you get a kid ID and your child does go missing, you can hand us the ID and say, this is who it is. But we've gone a step further over the last couple of years. We've actually taken that information with the parents' consent, and we've entered that into our records management system so that any of our deputies or officers in the county who have that ability to pull up their Spillman records management system can see that information right in front of them in a squad car, wherever they are, and it's very handy. And in addition, it's a pretty cool thing for the kids to have too. It's like a driver's license, just it doesn't give you driving privileges.
And we got a caller on the line, but I do want to squeeze one more quick question in before we go to that caller, and that is, if you've had a child ID already done, maybe say last year or 2 or 3 years ago, is it worth it to do it again?
do it again every year. I encourage it every single year, and we have so many ways to do it. You can do it out here at the fair every day. Usually 10 to 6 is when they're out there doing it, but if you can't make it during that time, you can do it on our app, on the Dodge County Sheriff's Office app. You can submit a photo with all the information, you can send it in, and then you can either pick it up at the Sheriff's Office, or we can mail it to you, or we can have a really cool experience. One of our deputies will actually deliver it to a Dodge County home personally and hand that to those children. So it's a great way for us to build relationships with the family, with those children, and a great opportunity for anybody. Free of charge. We'll take care of those costs.
920-885-4446 is the phone number if you want to call in. And if you're at the Dodge County Fairgrounds, you can feel free to call in. But if you're already at the fairgrounds, you can walk up to the microphone again that we've got up in front of the stage here. So we are going to go to the phones and say, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment.
Well, good afternoon, and hey, Senator, congratulations on the election.
Sheriff, not Senator. Sheriff, not Senator.
Sheriff. I'm just saying it like it should be, but yeah, we'll worry about that next time that comes around. But hey, Sheriff, I listen to a lot of talk radio, especially out in Milwaukee, and crime there, especially violent crime, is just through the roof. And occasionally they mention some surrounding counties where they're starting to gather up a lot of crime that's perpetrated by Milwaukee residents and stuff. What is your? I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I'll hang up and listen to your answers. What is your plan to curtail crime from coming from Milwaukee into Dodge County with your limited resources? And the next part of that kind of goes with it. It seems like the juvenile crime is increasing faster than anything else. How is Dodge handling it compared to Milwaukee? And what happens with juvenile offenders from outside the county? How they're dealt with in Dodge versus in Milwaukee, where it's pretty much catch and release, even when there's car theft and other violent crimes, it seems like they're on the street the next day. And then my last question is, I know your hiring process was kind of slow. I haven't been catching you for the last couple months, but how are you doing on the hiring process for your jail system, and is that going better than expected, or are you making progress there? Again, Sheriff Schmidt, congratulations on the win. Thank God you're back for another term, and I'll hang up and listen. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Craig. We had a little bit of technical difficulty there understanding at the beginning of that question, but I did catch the latter half of it. And as usual, Craig usually asks 2 questions, and I got the answers to the last 2 of them here. So the second half of I'm sorry, Craig, I couldn't carry the first portion of it. We're just trying to figure out how we could listen. But how do we deal with juveniles, like what's going on in Milwaukee? Well, here in Dodge County, it's a little bit different. I actually talked with the Milwaukee County Sheriff 2 days ago, as a matter of fact, and he was frustrated because of the lack of accountability that is going on in the Milwaukee area. And I told him, well, that doesn't really happen here in Dodge County because we arrest people, we take them to jail, our prosecutors prosecute them, and we hold people accountable. Juveniles no different. Maybe a little bit different because it's not the same process. They're younger. We have individuals who commit some crimes, but we have juvenile services, juvenile intake to help us through some of those things. There are repercussions that occur, though, and that's the difference between us and Milwaukee County. Here in Dodge County, we hold individuals accountable for the crimes that they commit, regardless of the age. Now, how we hold them accountable may be a little bit different because of the age, but at the end of the day, we hold them accountable. And what we're seeing from individuals who come into Dodge County is once they get here, they say, what are you doing? They don't do this in Milwaukee County. They don't hold us accountable in Milwaukee County. How can you do that? And we tell them, well, you're not in Milwaukee County anymore. So I think that's the answer to your first question, Craig. Second one, as far as recruitment and retention, I'll tell you that at the beginning of the year we had a overall goal for the entire sheriff's office. That goal was set that every person in the sheriff's office is responsible for recruiting, and that's been going really, really well. I feel at this point that we are better staffed than most areas in the county. We are also better staffed than most of our neighboring sheriff's offices, and things are going extremely well. We do have a couple vacancies left in the jail, which we were getting real close, and then we had a couple people take promotions to other positions. We have currently 5 open positions in corrections yet, which is nothing compared to what it used to be. My patrol division is full as of next week Tuesday when we swear in our new deputy. I have 1 opening in dispatch, which we're doing a background on. That's it. Out of about 160, 180 employees we've got, I've got 6 full-time openings, and that's pretty good. We've come a long ways, and we're doing really well. The staff has really stepped up, and it's been really positive. So I really appreciate that question, and we are not in the dire straits that we were a year ago, or even several years ago, with all the retirements. People forget baby boomers started retiring right about now for everybody reaching that 60 to 65 year range. For law enforcement, people retire at 50 to 53. So baby boomers retiring hit us before it hit everybody else. And we are at a really good point right now, and we've come through some difficult times, but we're in a really positive location, and our employees are really happy. And I tell you what, I've never seen our employees working together like they do right now. I'm very proud of them.
Well, our thanks to Craig from Hubbard for that phone call, and to quote Meatloaf's lyricist Jim Steinman, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
There we go. There we go.
All right. Sorry, a bad joke today.
Boom.
We do have another caller on the line at 920-885-4446. We also want to invite anybody here at the fair is invited to come up and ask a question of Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt here during the community comment program. And let's go back to the phones and say good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment.
Hello?
Hi, you're on the air.
Okay, I just have a question for the sheriff. I would like to know why he was allowed to put letters on the supervisor's desk last night at the board meeting, and another supervisor's letters were removed and not allowed to be passed out to the other board members.
I didn't put any letters on any supervisor's desk last night. I met with several supervisors and handed them a communication that I had directly for them. Nothing was left on anybody's desk. I don't have any control over what happened.
You gave it to them on their desks while they were sitting at their desks.
I gave it to the supervisor. I had a communication.
So there's not really a difference. You were allowed to hand letters out, and another supervisor was not.
I'm certainly not going to get into a debate over this with you here on the air, Ashley, but at the end of the day, I handed some communication that I had to several supervisors that were all there at the same time. That's all I did. Whatever happened on the county board floor, that's out of my hands.
No, Dale.
Take care.
I do appreciate that phone call here. Again, 920-885-4446. Obviously, this is an issue that has come up in the news from time to time. Typically, we would not ask an elected or appointed official to comment on ongoing litigation or anything like that. But just for I guess maybe the understanding of people here or the people that may be listening at home, this is something you had commented on the campaign trail prior to the primary election here earlier this month. And I was wondering if you just wanted to offer any insight for clarification purposes to your constituents as to the broader topic of what that question may have come up under.
So first of all, it is never, ever a good idea and always frowned upon by legal counsel to comment on any active litigation in any organization, let alone a governmental organization, and certainly that has been the stance when the case was initially that has come up was initially dismissed, which it was dismissed. I issued a press release. I didn't write that press release. My attorneys did, and we issued that. We sent that out. Subsequent, there's been a lot of chatter about it. The attorney gave me some latitude to make some comments to very briefly defend ourselves about it. But I'm not going to get into any details of a case because that wouldn't be good practice for legal proceedings, and so we're not going to get into that. By doing so, you subject the county to additional liability, which is just not smart. You need to be smart in any litigation, regardless of what occurred in the litigation. So you really can't be talking about it without the advice of your attorney, and so that's exactly what we have done. Is my press release was based off was written by the attorneys. We sent it out, and the comments that I have regarding what happened is the sheriff's office, the employees, the district attorney did nothing wrong. In that litigation, there's allegations that an individual was held illegally. Not true. There was an active detainer through the federal government. I didn't take the individual into custody. The federal government did, and we held them under a contract. And that's a bottom line. What occurred, and at the end of the day, I'm confident the appeal, which has now been brought, will also be dismissed, and we'll move on. And just because you say something in an affidavit doesn't mean those are actually the facts of the case. And it's unfortunately some people are reading the affidavit that's been put out and taking that as this had to have happened because that person said it. Well, there's no evidence to back those things up, and we're not going to comment any further other than we have done absolutely nothing wrong, and we stand by those comments.
And this is the first opportunity we've had to have a conversation since that August primary election, during which a lot of topics come up, as they traditionally do during a contested election. And there is no Democratic opponent or any other party opponent on the November ballot, which is why you might not have heard the sheriff on community comment for the last several months. We tend to go above and beyond when it comes to equal time and just ask for a different representative from the sheriff's department. But now, given the circumstances of where we're at, I'm glad you're able to join us here today, Sheriff. Your thoughts about this election that is now essentially, for all intended purposes, behind you?
We can get back to doing the business of the people. I'll tell you, the employees are excited. They're ecstatic that this is over. I've had nothing but support from my staff throughout all of this, and we're glad that it's done. It was a landslide election. 75% of the vote is what I was able to take home in the primary election. Very, very happy that is all behind us. 75% of the people, that's the majority, think that I should continue as at least as at this point the nominee for the Republican Party, and I'm honored to have that. I had so many people that said I couldn't vote because I voted on the Democrat side that said they wish they could have. In fact, one clerk told me, well, we'll leave that for another day. I've had some individuals tell me that they did write me in, though, on the Democrat side because they didn't have the opportunity to vote for me on the Democrat side. But we're excited to get back to work, and a lot of the noise in the background is now just that. It's noise. We're able to move forward without a lot of that impacting our day-to-day operations, and huge stress relief for me, my family, and my staff. They're all excited.
Dodge County Clerk Karen Gibson told me on WBEV's community comment that writing in the name of somebody on the ballot in a different party on the Democrat side for a Republican race, not going to fly. It's not going to work.
It doesn't work, but it makes me feel good a little bit.
Is that how it works? Yeah. Speaking of feeling good, it's good to have that stress of being a parent lifted. Here, as we take a break, want to reiterate something that we had stated earlier here in this segment, and that is that those child IDs are available at the sheriff's trailer over here. You want to maybe give a quick description of how folks on the fairgrounds can find your office here?
Yeah, first of all, you look for we've got our trailer out here. It says Dodge County Sheriff on it, under the grandstand, right next to the track, next to the Bayside concessions, right across from Radio Park here, as a matter of fact. So when you're done here listening to Community Comment or any of the great programming they have, walk right across over to our booth and grab one of those kid IDs. My staff are there. We've got our UTV out there with our stickers on there. Right under the grandstand. You can't miss us.
Yeah, child IDs. Keep those kids safe. A note to our listeners on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. If you're listening on terrestrial FM radio, you go to Daily Dodge. Not only can you listen to this broadcast, but you can watch today's broadcast. We are video streaming from Radio Park with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt, and we are giving opportunity to ask questions not only of our phone callers at 920-885-4446, But those of you here at the fairgrounds, there is a microphone in front of the stage. You're welcome to come up and ask a question at any time. We will take that break and be back here in just a few minutes with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt.
Powered by Daily Dodge, and let's go back out to the Dodge County Fairgrounds with Craig Warmbold and Community Comment.
And our guest is Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. The phone number, if you've got a question, 920-885-4446. If you're at the fairgrounds or going to be at the fairgrounds shortly, you can come to the Radio Park stage. There is a microphone to ask a question directly of the sheriff if you so wish. That is available right now. You can go to dailydodge.com. You can watch video of today's program. There's a live video stream, one of about a dozen live video streams we'll have over the course of the next 5 days here at the Dodge County Fair, and a wide variety of activities, judging, meat animal auction, the cream puff contest, which you'll be in.
I will.
Again.
Against the DA, of course. He for some reason, he likes to lose.
Well, it hasn't been 100% winning, though, for you against the DA, has it?
No, I let him have a couple of them in there, and then there was a ringer. I'm pretty sure if he does show up again, of course, Thomas, if Thomas shows up, we do have a squad car we're going to put him in this year so that he can't get to a cream puff to beat us.
He was not a big fan of, I believe there was a handcuffing to the thing over here.
There may have been, yeah.
A couple years ago.
Yeah, and somehow he still got a cream puff and ate it faster than us, so it was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Thomas is working bright and early every morning, so
All
by
right.
the time 5 or 6 o'clock rolls around, his shift is over. So
Sure.
you've got nothing to worry about
Should
on
be-
that front.
should be good.
Though it sounds like we've got the new Horicon police chief. Would that be Amy Yankee?
That would be Amy Yankee, yeah.
Apparently, the Ninjet has been able to line that up, so maybe we'll throw her into the law enforcement round.
Okay, well, I'm good with that. I mean, regardless, I still plan to win with the least amount of cream puff all over my uniform, so yeah, it should go well.
So we're here at the Dodge County Fairgrounds again. Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt joining us. You know, it wasn't too long ago that that I wrote a story out of the Dodge County Fair when a bunch of kids got together and then there was a fight out here, and you know, I mean, stuff got a little crazy for a little bit. So when a situation like that, if that were to happen again here at the Dodge County Fair, and certainly we wouldn't want something like that to happen again, what approach does your agency take to quell something like that, to prevent something like that from happening? What types of accountability would these juveniles face? Going back to Craig from Hubbard's question a little bit earlier, maybe in a less serious sort of way, but still very serious when you're talking about a bunch of people in a fight breaking out. That shouldn't be diminished in any way. How do you guys handle that? What is the plan? What does the training look like?
Well, first of all, we need people to call 911 immediately if they're on the grounds and let us know about it. I was working that when we had that happen, and by the time the report got to us here on the ground, somebody came over and told us, and we got over there. They were all gone. It was dispersed. It was short, but there was videos of it out there. It wasn't good. But we need people to call 911 right away so we can be notified out here on the grounds and get there right away. What are we going to do? Depends on the severity. If nobody was hurt, but there was a disturbance, it may end up in a citation, removal from the fairgrounds. Certainly we don't want that happening. If somebody got hurt, that's a different story. Somebody gets punched, there's certainly, again, we have options for issuing citations, disorderly conduct, even battery are citations that we can issue. But if it gets more serious, of course, then we have to look at the juvenile justice system. But typically, that's not our goal. Our goal is to prevent it from happening in the first place. Again, that presence, trying to get out there and making sure that while we're there, people are noticing and not getting involved with it. But we will take action if we need to make sure that everybody is able to enjoy the fair out here without it being interrupted with something like that. So it's, again, citations are typically what the extent of what happens out here at the fair. It typically doesn't rise above that. I like it the years when we don't have to issue any citations, which has happened from time to time. Last year, unfortunately, we had several citations issued for underage drinking, but that was the extent of the severity out here really last year. But we've had some of those other years where some people get involved in some fights, and a couple of years ago we had some out by the Legion tent, unfortunately. I had some fights right around 11:30. Again, they're similar to what we do with the juveniles or the youth out here with presence. We like to keep a good heavy presence over there when people are starting to drink heavily and make sure they know we're watching. And when we see anybody starting to get a little bit rowdy and rambunctious, we go say hi to them and try to settle it down before it becomes a problem. But we will address the issues, and if we need to, we will take people to jail for incidents that happen out here.
Well, what are the tools in the tool belt, so to speak, both literally and figuratively, if you do find a situation like a bunch of people and you're essentially outnumbered?
Well, we've got a number of people out here that we can call on, and we can get our staff here quickly. And typically during the times when we have the most problems, we have anywhere from 8 to 10 people here. And we can get those deputies there in a relatively short period of time and settle those down. And usually we're not going to be outnumbered. Certainly we have tools on our tool belt around our waist if we need to use them. But typically we don't have to go to that. Typically once we get there, we're able to control. Usually it's 1 or 2 people that don't follow instructions at best, and then we take care of those individuals and manage that situation. But usually we don't have that here at the fair. It's very rare. It's been a number of years since we've had anything like that happen, and I think that a lot of that has to go to our presence and our proactive approach.
920-885-4446 is that phone number if you want to call in. I'd love to see somebody from Radio Park here come up to the microphone and ask a question before all is said and done. Certainly that option available for you as well. Can you speak to the idea of underage drinking and the approach that you would take to quell that? And I know you're not necessarily a representative of the Fair Board or the Fair Association either, but if you could speak to that broader strategy of how that is something that you try to not just minimize but eliminate.
Well, our staff are always out here checking IDs, making sure. Doesn't matter if you're in the fair or you're out on the road. If you're underage and consuming alcohol, it's against the law, and we are going to enforce that. There's reasons for that, because those individuals at that age tend to not always make the best decisions, and we want to make sure that we don't have bigger problems later on. And a lot of times when we can remove that individual who shouldn't be here early on, it prevents those problems from happening later on in the night. So we are proactive. We do know about some of the tricks that some of our youth play in trying to get wristbands. We're aware of those things. Just because you're wearing a wristband doesn't mean you're not going to get ID'd by one of our staff. And if you're caught to be drinking, we are going to take action. We know, because we've been there, we were young once, we understand what it is or what people do to try and get away with things. I recall last year I thought, I'm just going to walk in the backside of one of the tents, because if I was their age, that's where I would be. And sure enough, I found 7 of them. So we're going to do those things, and we're going to make sure that people are being respectful, responsible, and safe out here. And if we have to issue citations, we will. And I can guarantee you, if we issue a citation, if we find somebody underage drinking, that will end their night here at the fair.
Could it possibly result in a warning instead of a citation?
Most likely not. We pretty much have a zero tolerance policy for the underage drinking, so that's going to end up in a citation. We've got some one-chance programs through the courts, but it's going to be most likely a citation for underage drinking, and then you're going to be off the grounds.
And what's that fee, or that cost, I should say, for a citation? Do you know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I want to say the first offense is $263-ish, and they go up for every offense within a year after that. I've had some fourth, fifth offense within a year where it's close to $1,000 for an underage drinking citation.
Wow.
It takes significant work to be able to get 4 or 5 of them in 1 year.
That's a lot for a Bud Light.
Sure is.
920-885-4446 is that phone number. Again, anybody on the fairgrounds here is invited to come up to the microphone. This second year, I think we've done this. No takers when we've done this, but don't be shy. We do have a caller hanging on the line. We'll go to the phones and say, good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
How are you?
First of all, I would like to congratulate the sheriff and his staff for the nonviolent way of resolving the issue at the local hotel. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
Also, I am curious with the increased amount of violence in the country and the Nation of Patriots tour coming up soon, knowing that they've always been very, very good, but wondering whether or not they would have violent people coming with them, if there's been any reports of anything on their trial so far.
I have never seen any violence as a part of the Nation of Patriots. In fact, a lot of individuals from our community here are the ones that actually take part in the Nation of Patriots. I know our former fire chief, Al Mantle, was always a part of that and helped flying with some of the flags. And so it's a lot of our own community members mostly, because they take legs around the country, and it isn't just one group of people that drive around the entire country. It's people that pick up a leg and they drive for a while, and then they hand off the flags to the next leg. So I don't foresee any issues regarding the Nation of Patriots, nor have I heard anything contrary to that.
Well, I hope that continues to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last question I have is that local law enforcement and somebody who's been very involved with the local drug issues have both mentioned that meth labs seem to be increasing. And I was wondering if you can give us a heads up as to the types of ingredients that people would be accumulating to create a meth lab, so that we can assist in the if you see something, say something sort of thing.
Oh, sure. Well, that one I can tell you, there is not an increase in meth labs. Methamphetamine is not coming to Dodge County via people making it in homemade labs like they used to 15, 20 years ago. That is not happening. What is happening is methamphetamine is being shipped into Dodge County and into our neighboring counties by trucking companies, by couriers, by individuals who are making trips to the Twin Cities. It's more coming from the northwest corner of the county. It's here. Don't get me wrong. I know I was misunderstood when during the campaign. Somebody thought I said there's no meth here. There's meth here, and there's lots of it here, unfortunately. And we are seeing the problems with methamphetamine. But it's not being cooked in homemade labs. It's not being cooked in a bathtub. That was the process of 15, 20 years ago. But you might get a one-pot method once in a while where somebody is doing this here and there, but it's very seldom. It's being shipped in. It's like the other hard drugs, cocaine, heroin. Methamphetamine is being shipped here. It is not being made in people's homes. A lot of that was prevented back in the day when chlorocidin, cold and cough, the triple C, and some of those other drugs with the dextromethorphan and those types of drugs that are needed to make methamphetamine, those were pulled behind the counters at pharmacies and no longer able to be stolen like you can or like you could back then. I used to be in loss prevention and saw it all the time. And when the legislature changed it, so it had to be sold behind the counter, you couldn't get a hold of those things anymore. That's when the homemade version really took a turn, and we don't really see the homemade meth anymore. So it was a really good question. I'm glad I was able to clarify that. I'm not going to really advertise the ingredients out there of how to make it because we don't want people to try to do that. It's very dangerous, but we don't see labs very often at all.
The drug methamphetamine, is it here? Is it on these fairgrounds?
Well, I hope it's not on the fairgrounds, but it would be naive to say that it's not. I'm certain there are some people at some point will most likely have some here in their car. Methamphetamine is in Dodge County. It is just as prevalent as heroin. It is just as prevalent as cocaine. Methamphetamine has been the scourge of society up in the northwest corner of the state for years. While we were dealing with heroin here in Dodge County and the opioid deaths in Dodge County, all the counties, Marathon County, Langlade County, Bayfield County, all those St. Croix County, all those up in the northwest corner were suffering with meth. They didn't even know what heroin was. They didn't have heroin overdoses because they were dealing with meth. And meth has made its way down. It started to make its way in about the time that we took down the Marx Brothers Trucking several years ago with Beaver Dam PD. We were able to take them down when we sent them to federal prison. It slowed it a bit, but now it has completely encompassed Dodge County. Counties around us, Milwaukee, Racine, all the way down to southeast Wisconsin where it never was. It is completely throughout the entire state. And it's being shipped in, not made here.
You know, you don't have to be a sheriff's detective to see somebody clearly maybe exhibiting signs that they're on methamphetamine. I mean, we call them tweakers or something like that. What do you do from a law enforcement perspective when you see somebody who is clearly under the influence of some type of drug like that? but you've got probable cause and all those kind of issues. How do you direct your team to walk that line, as it were?
Well, methamphetamine, like cocaine, is a stimulant drug. It's an upper. It makes you more rigid. It makes you more prone to violence. Where somebody who's using heroin or other opiate kind of puts you to sleep. So we have to be more cautious. When we see somebody who we suspect might be using cocaine or methamphetamine, we have to make sure that we are using extra caution, make sure that we have extra staff there so that we can deal with the situation, and if we need to, take that individual into custody safely whenever possible, because they can be violent very, very quickly just because of the way that drug works on the human body.
920-885-4446 is that phone number if you've got a question or a comment for Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. You're also welcome to come up to the microphone that we've got here at Radio Park and ask that question directly on the air and to the sheriff here at the Dodge County Fairgrounds, where we're broadcasting live from. Not just broadcasting, a live video stream as well. You can go to dailydodge.com right now. This the first of a dozen or so live streams that you'll see on Daily Dodge TV here over the course of the next several days. We'll take a break and be back here in just a few minutes.
Listening to 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Let's go back out to the Dodge County Fairgrounds and listen to Craig Warmbold with Community Comments.
And our guest is Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. The phone number, if you've got a question or a comment, is 920-885-4446. That's 885-4446. Or you could just come to Radio Park. There's a microphone set up in front of the stage, and feel free to ask a question of the top cop here in Dodge County. Of course, DA Kirk Klomberg always seems to not be happy with me when I call you the top cop and not him. So
Yeah.
I guess this will have to be hashed out at the cream puff eating contest.
Well, he knows who really is the top cop, and he gives me a hard time about it as well. But at the end of the day, he just sits in a courtroom. We got to go do the real police work out there. So.
Law and order
Yes,
here on
yes.
On the Dodge County Fairgrounds. Again, 920-885-4446. I want to talk about a serious incident that had taken place here in the city of Beaver Dam. You had worked with city of Beaver Dam in responding to, do we call it a standoff at the Holiday Inn Express over there about a week or two back? Give us some, well, first for those that may not be familiar with the situation, if you could kind of outline the happenings, as it were, what all went down, and give us some insight into your response as
Sure.
a member of law enforcement.
Well, this is a Beaver Dam Police Department case, and they led this investigation from the beginning, and so I'm not going to comment at all about the actual details of the case, other than we were called in to assist Beaver Dam PD. They had an individual who obviously had some challenges. There was a weapon involved, and we wanted to make sure that we could end that it was a standoff because there was a weapon involved, and the individual made some comments that I think was handled absolutely fantastic, the way that it all shook out at the end of the day. I don't want to get into the details of it because it's not my case, but there was a weapon involved, an individual in a hotel room, and we wanted to get him out safely. And I'll tell you from the get-go, Officer Andy Strakoto of Beaver Dam Police Department made some fantastic initial decisions, and was able to contain the situation, wait for help to get there so that we could make sure we could end it peacefully. They had their individuals show up, their staff showed up. They had a negotiator, Jim Van Arum was negotiating for him, and did a fantastic job. It was actually his first time negotiating since becoming an official negotiator, and just did a phenomenal job in there. Can't say enough about the work that they did. They called for assistance. We came in. I got there, met with some of their staff, and we determined that the SWAT team needed to come out because they have the special equipment and the special talents to be able to work on a situation like this and keep everybody safe. Worked with the PD. We evacuated the hotel. We evacuated the immediate area. These types of incidents, while we're talking about that, a lot of times people think, oh, the cops are over there. Well, as long as we're behind the squad cars, we should be safe. That's not always the case, because you don't know if somebody does fire a round, whether that be a suspect or we have to return fire or something happens and an errant round goes off. You don't know where that round is going to end up. And so we evacuated the area behind the mall, sheltered in place the people at the Merrick Inn. Unfortunately, businesses in the area, we had to limit their access in and out as well. And that was for everybody's safety. But we appreciate everybody understanding and staying out of that area. Our SWAT team came in. We brought in our negotiators to assist Officer Van Arum. And we just had an outstanding collaborative effort between us, Beaver Dam Police Department, and then we brought in Fond du Lac County as well to bring some equipment from their SWAT team. And we were able to end that negotiation peacefully. At the end of the day, it actually is a great fodder for what we're going to be getting at the Sheriff's Office, which is a brand new robot for our SWAT team. A robot which we're going to be able to utilize to deploy items into a location, be able to view things. We brought Fond du Lac County's robot down, and really what happened is we knocked on the door with the robot, and I think the guy knew we meant business, and he decided at that point he probably should come out. It ended peacefully. The negotiation team did a fantastic job of working with him, reassuring him, letting him know that he was going to be okay. We were going to do what we could to get him help. And then we knocked on the door. He came out and took him into custody, and we got him the help that he needed. And it ended peacefully. And I'm very proud of everybody, the way that they work together, from the frontline people that first got there to our SWAT commander, Beaver Dam's incident command, everybody that was there, it was a great team effort, and your community, our community, can be proud of the work that was done there to end that situation safely. And one more note, Holiday Inn staff. We don't always get cooperation like we did from Holiday Inn. Absolutely fantastic for them to be able to turn on things, turn off things, give us maps, layouts, just did everything we needed. It was an all-around outstanding performance by everybody.
One of the things I found confusing that was included in the press release is that this all got started because a staff member had discovered that there was a gun in a room or something along those lines. That didn't seem like enough of an impetus to lead to law enforcement being contacted, merely a gun being in a room.
And again, that's part of the Beaver Dam investigation. That'd be a great opportunity to raise that question with Lieutenant Johnson when he comes on, and see what that angle is. From what I understood, there was a threat made once law enforcement was there, and that's why we came in to assist. The initial call for service, a lot of times you might get a suspicious call, and we just show up. It's not that we're really there to take any law enforcement action, but it's something suspicious. We show up, we make contact, see if there's anything illegal. If there isn't, we leave. But unfortunately, and that very well may have been the case here, many times when those suspicious incidents occur, they can lead to something else. But that'd be a good question for Beaver Dam PD. I'm not going to be able to answer that question because that's part of their investigation.
And the Beaver Dam Police Department appears on Community Comment on the first Friday of every month at 12:35 this very time. One more question: the role of Health and Human Services. Yes. How is that beneficial in leading to a peaceful resolution in this situation?
Well, in this circumstance, we knew that Health and Human Services would be helpful because there had been prior interaction there from another county. And we made the decision to call over and say, hey, do you want to send somebody over? You might be able to gather some information. You might be able to give us insight into this incident. And it was something new for me to ask for. And we brought them over, and they sat there with negotiators. They assisted, trying to put the human services into the cop, I guess, is what we're trying to do there, and provide us a little bit different insight, and provide those negotiators with some insight as they're talking to this individual. They're trained to deal with those types of things, and this is a perfect situation. I actually have spoken with our Health and Human Services Director about this, and we're going to do more of this. Integrated training, most likely, monthly with their staff, and we know at some point we'll have another critical incident where we need to deploy our team. It's going to be my goal to work with them that we can make that standard practice, that when we have a negotiating type situation, that we involve human services. And it's another resource that why wouldn't we use it? And we're gonna use that resource we have available to us.
920-885-4446, the phone number if you've got a question or a comment for Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. You're also invited, if you're at the fairgrounds, up to the microphone in front of the Radio Park stage here. We will go to the phones and say good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What I have is quite mundane compared to what you've been talking about, but I think it's very important for the sheriff to remind people that this is Fair Week and we are getting into harvest season. And people need to take a breath, count to 10 when you get behind some piece of machinery, because you will get to your destination if you do not make a rash decision.
Well, it's a great question, great comment, and I know she hates it when I call her out, Aunt Lorraine. But it's a great question from my aunt, and obviously it's near and dear to her heart, our heart, because she grew up on the farm. I grew up on the farm. We all get it, and yeah, you do need to be careful out there. Pretty soon, already some harvests are coming off, and we need to share that road. Farmers share it with the little four-wheelers, they call them, or everybody else on the road share it with the farmers, and coexist and get along with one another. Don't block the road so people can't get by, but at the same time, you can't be passing in a no-passing zone. You can never, ever pass a farm machinery in a no-passing zone unless that thing's stopped on the side of the road. You cannot pass it in a no-passing zone, period. So please don't do that. Give each other respect and time to get where they need to go and get done what they need to do. So thanks, Aunt Lorraine, for calling in. I appreciate it.
Can you pass a farm implement that's only going 5 miles an hour if they're on the other side of, what would it be, the white line on the shoulder of the road?
As long as you are not crossing the center line, you can pass out a farm implement, but you cannot pass over that center line in a no passing zone. That's why I always encourage, if able, and I understand there's big machinery, but if able, if machinery can get over and allow that vehicle to go by, there is that other law out there, and farmers hate when I talk about this law, but that law is out there that slow vehicles must yield the right of way to other faster traffic. Doesn't mean you can speed, but an individual who is coming up behind other traffic, say you're going, even a car, a bicycle, whatever it is, if you are in the roadway traveling 25 miles an hour in a 55 mile an hour zone, you are obligated to yield that right of way to the faster traffic coming behind you, regardless of what vehicle you're driving. But you still cannot pass an agricultural vehicle, implement of husbandry, in a no passing zone ever.
Sheriff, oftentimes it comes down to just mutual respect on the roadway, I would guess.
It does.
Another question from a caller, 920-885-4446, the phone number if you want to call in. Or if you're here in Radio Park, there's a microphone right in front of the stage. You're welcome to come up and ask the sheriff a question here. 920-885-4446 is that phone number. This question asked off the air of our producer, relayed it to me via text message here, Sheriff. Wants to, and this may be a question that may be more appropriate for a member of the Fair Association, but I think you should be able to field this, and that is, what type of handicap access and parking is available here at the fair?
We do have handicap parking out here at the fair. It is located out at the west end on the Fabish Road entrance by the park. There's right at the end, if you're letting the Kiwanis or the Muskies, whoever's directing traffic at the time, let them know you're handicapped. They can direct you to that handicap parking out here. It's right out at the end out by the vendor tents out there, right in that corner over by the rides, the Ferris wheel, all those things out there, kind of in that area. There is handicap parking for individuals. And then if you got a way to get around, you can make your way around the fairgrounds.
All right, so a wonderful time out here at the Dodge County Fairgrounds. A lot of reasons to celebrate. Sometimes people may celebrate a little bit too much at the fair. Here, as we wind the program down, the message to those out there as it comes to safety, particularly as it relates to maybe being a little bit too celebratory.
I think we've been doing this too long, Craig, because that's exactly the thoughts I was having that we should wrap up the show with. We've actually got a lot of extra enforcement around the fairgrounds this year. We've been able to secure some seatbelt grants that we've deployed our individuals later in the evening into the later night, specifically to enforce seatbelt law, and while doing that, also enforce the OWI laws as you're leaving the fairgrounds. So you will see a heavy presence of sheriff's office vehicles out here on the road surrounding. That's to keep you safe. We want you to have fun, but we want you to have a designated driver. We want you to make sure that you get home safely. I don't ever want to have to wake up in the morning or in the middle of the night after everybody's left the fair and find out that somebody's died because somebody had too much to drink. So be careful, have that designated driver, be responsible, and please drive safely out there. Put that seatbelt on. Our staff will be out and about, more than just on the grounds. I'm talking about on the roads around us as well. There will be a heavy presence of black squads with silver decals on the side, and you certainly don't want those to turn into black squads with silver decals and red and blue lights behind you.
So other than the cream puff eating contest and the general idea of keeping safety here on the fairgrounds, what are you looking forward to here over the next 5 days?
Well, I'm looking forward to tomorrow and Saturday morning. I'll be working at the Rotary booth, selling the most family-friendly food on the fairgrounds. Not only is it good for you, well, kind of, in comparison to some fair food, I think it would be good for you, but it's reasonable cost too. So I'll be working over there. I'll be in the kitchen. And I got my parents helping me tomorrow. My mom is coming back to help me on Saturday. That's part of what I'm doing. Friday, I plan to bring my kids out with my wife, and hopefully, if we don't have any storms, go out to the rides. And my daughter, we drove by Monday night And she picked out the rides and said, "I'm going to ride on that." And I said, "Yeah, you're going to ride on that alone." There's some neat rides out there she wants to get on. The kids love coming out to the fair, seeing all the animals, so we'll do some of that as well. If you see me, by all means, come on up, say hi. I'd love to see you all. It's always a great time to meet the community out at the fair.
Well, we appreciate you coming down to the Radio Park stage and sitting down with us for this stretch, and we look forward to the next conversation next time.
And hopefully you get some judges who are fair and equitable in the cream puff eating contest here on Friday. I'm looking forward to it.
Maybe one of these years we will. Thank you very much, Sheriff. We do appreciate it. Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt, thank you to all of the folks who chimed in here with us on the course of the program today, asking questions and making comments. We really do appreciate that. You put the community in community comment, and we wish everybody a safe and joyous fair here from the Dodge County Fairgrounds. That's going to do it for today's community comment.